Hello, it's Gene. I'm back again to talk about this resolution. Apparently, they had to change it more because we have to also put in the fact that all of America is anti-Muslim, anti-Israel or Semitic people, or black people. We're against them. The only things that they're not in this resolution is the fact that potato farmers from Ireland are not in this. We should be apologizing to them as well, even though they were slaves in this country at the same time the black people were. But anyway, I want to look at this from a different point of view. Clearly, this new resolution is another anti-white, anti-founding immigrants or conquerors of this country, and shaming everybody that looks like the people that founded this country. And what's great about it is that only 23 people voted against it. So all the Republicans basically voted for it, and even Oman voted for it, even though her name was not called out. So the interesting thing online is that all these Republicans are saying the Democrats can't even call out the people that are being anti-Semitic. And I'm like, but this woman gets, like, Loomer got bans from Twitter, and obviously there's this big thing against people who are against Israel. Now, Loomer is against, I mean, she's a Jew, but she also has issues with the influence that Israel has in this country, but she's a Zionist still. Anyway, my issue with this, and again, this is not the first time. I said in the previous video that there are state laws right now that says you have to sign something saying that you will not boycott Israel over Palestine. So you can't get a job in states. And I'm just wondering how a foreign entity had that type of control in this country. And if I say that, or if this congresswoman says it in Minnesota when they're talking about stuff, and she says we should never sign this, obviously they have more Muslim populations in Minnesota. Is that still considered anti-Semitic? I mean, all we're going to do in this country is that we have to bow down to Israel, like they're the ones that actually control in this country. And online today, one of my friends, who's a conservative, he shared something, again, the same type of thing, saying that the Democrats couldn't put her name in this resolution. And I'm like, everything she said, she has the right to say it. Now, you as her constituency can say, I don't want to be with her anymore. I mean, she has to, every 2 weeks, 2 years, she has to go for a vote. The other issue is, if she said something that was illegal in some way, they can censor her. The thing is, this is the only areas that really we're going to have these type of resolutions. And what happens now is they said, well, we just can't. The first one was just talking about anti-Semitism. And then they had a few other little things I talked about the previous video, which talked about JFK, that his loyalty would have been maybe messed up because he might listen to the Pope, or things like that. But what they did now is we got to put all the people in that victim hierarchy into this thing as well. So the Muslims can't talk about Muslims that way. You can't talk about black people that were here for slavery. You can't talk about LGBT or what. I mean, I'm not going to go through it because it's stupid. It's just more of this virtual signaling to the left saying we're going to do this. But the problem is the right is just as bad with this. And so people like Tommy Lahren get on Twitter today saying that people like Laura Loomer's been knocked off Twitter because she has a different opinion of leftists, let's say. And that's anti-Semitic. But there was no banning or censoring of a congresswoman from Minnesota. And I'm like, so this is what we want. We want our congresswoman or man who might have a dissented opinion about something. I mean, obviously there's levels of this. She didn't say all Jewish people are parasites. She didn't do anything like that. She said basically that Israel has way too much influence in this country, and for somebody who comes from her side of the faith that she's in, that it could be somewhat scary to her and her people that in her area that she represents. I don't like the woman. We know enough about her that maybe she married her mother or brother. But there was nothing where what she said was wrong, and I've said things like this before. But this is where we're going, and it isn't the first time. I mean, you can go online and see how many times we've had these type of anti-Semitic bills that have gone through Congress and have always been 90% or 100% agreed to. And I had people online or friends basically saying the same thing, and I'm like, why are you just bowing down to Israel and the influence that we have in this country? So I'm wondering why that a legislative body like the Senate or the House can even talk to me about morality. Because yesterday when I talked about it, when the first introduction of the resolution was talking about this is against what people in the United States are about, basically. And I'm trying to go through what the legislative branch is really supposed to do. And guess what? There's nothing here that says that they are the arbiter for our morality when it comes to things like this. In fact, they should get the fuck out of the way. Get the fuck out of the way when we're talking about issues. There should be no impediment to free speech. And when you say you're going to do things, we're going to censor a congressman for saying something like this, which is basically opaque. It's not like saying that everybody in Hollywood are communists, like McCarthy might have said. Of course, we go back now. In a lot of ways, he was right. We can't have it both ways, and the problem is there's no way that we'll never wake up enough. There are too many people that have certain types of ideas. It says that yes, America should be like it was before, that they are under the Constitution, and they want to have everybody have the same liberty, and only have people who wants to assimilate. But we have this issue where we're really against the Muslims in a lot of ways, but Jewish people or Israel people can do whatever they want to do in this country, and they get applauded for it. And at the same time, they claim persecution all the time, but when they basically run everything. And if I just say that out loud, or if I put in a tweet that it's all about the Benjamins, like she said, or it says that Israel has way too much influence in this country, that becomes anti-Semitic probe. And Tim Pool, who just had everybody online, which is celebrating what he did on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day, he basically came out and said that what she said was basically anti-Semitic because it's all tropes. And I'm like, this is the same thing I talked about in my video the other day. Let me get something real quick through here. It's tropes, stereotypical behavior, is something that we know about, right? And it allows us to be vigilant when we're around people that are not trustworthy in our group. And we can be so having denial and just allow the shit that we have our heads in the stand. And then places like Europe and Germany just becomes run over with migrants. I mean, Merkel said today that probably about 11 years there'll probably be a Muslim prime minister. I mean, they are basically have given up their country based on what happened 70, 80 years ago, because still today they're being blamed for the decisions that Hitler made as the leader of the Nazi Party. And we can go on to all that, and I would go ahead and welcome anybody to come on this channel and talk to me about what they think the Holocaust was and the impact that it has since then, and how it's still impacting not the quote-unquote survivors of the Holocaust, but the people that are being blamed for it in the West, and how it changes and how it impacts how we look at Israel in our country, that we have this blind spot with them, while they, not everybody, but people in power, people that want the money, people that want the control, definitely are trying to use us. And why wouldn't they? I mean, when I said the other day that some people, not necessarily me, but some people say, as I made the correlation between abortion, that they look at the fetus as being a parasite in the female's body. And a lot of people think that's the same way with Jewish people with the different countries they've been at. So why wouldn't a small state that maybe has nuclear bombs, let's say that they do, maybe they have a lot of money, but they are very, very small state, why wouldn't they cling to us and try to control us like a tick has, or something happens, or a parasite that comes inside your brain and somewhat takes over or hosts you and just takes all your information, your nutrients before it gets rid of you and goes to somewhere else. I mean, when you take the correlation between what a parasite is and them as a people has done, and if I talk about this, whether I believe what I'm saying right now is that the people are kind of like parasitic because they do this, then apparently I should go in jail, or I shouldn't be able to talk about this because this is just so anti-Semitic. It's probably the worst thing in the world. It's probably worse than rape. It's probably worse than being killed or anything else like that, by just basically speaking your mind. Now, clearly, this congresswoman didn't say this. She didn't say that Jewish people are parasites. Didn't say Israel's a parasite. She was talking about, as a Muslim woman in this country, that she knows that they have a plan, or they look at people that are Muslim a little differently than they do anywhere else. And they know that they're behind a lot of the stuff that's happened in the Middle East, that are killing people that look like her. Of course, she's from Somalia, so it's a different type of Muslim. But still, she had this kinship through her religion to Semites who are Muslims in the Middle East, Arabs, let's say. So, I mean, it's like they say shit about them, and if you say things about them, that now we have these resolutions, or you're being chastised, and they don't put her name in it, but her face is everywhere on the internet. Her name's not in the thing, but it's everywhere. The media, which is run by the Jews, her face is everywhere, and it's like the shining ball or something that we just get looked at that, and this is what's more important. Meanwhile, they're just continually having control of everything else, and we're going to still fighting their wars, giving them money, and all this other things. It's disgusting in a lot of ways. So, what else was I going to talk about? That was something else I couldn't remember. Oh, it's coming to my mind and it loses it. Come out. This is what happens when you get this way. Lost it. Oh, I don't know if you remember, and I'll try if I can find it. And there are several examples of this. A few years ago, Pelosi was talking about her grandson has brown eyes and darker skin, and that is the future United States. And that's a good thing. And then when Biden said the same thing about Europeans will no longer be the majority in this country, that we just have overwhelming immigration over and over again, and that's okay. But if I say that Jews have too much influence in the United States, I'm an anti-Semitic, and I should be probably killed for it. People saying that shit, like Biden had said, that Pelosi has said, of other people in the Democratic Party, a lot of Republicans have said things, the same type of bullshit. Neocons like Shapiro saying, I don't care about the browning of America. Same thing that Andrew Will has said, the same thing that the guy from InfoWars, it's the same shit. I don't really care as long as it goes to the stars. I don't care about the 20 years ago, these people, well, I don't say 20 years ago, 40 years ago, these people would be ostracized, would never have any way to make any money. They would be looked at as probably the stupidest people on the earth, and they would be considered enemies of the state. We've just, Europeans and white people have become so desensitized and been told for a long time that it's their fault for everything, and it doesn't really impact the female side of us. It doesn't, because women are so empathetic that they just want to help, or now because they're so in this, they're all this seeking for attention all the time, because it's how we are right now. You have to have, everybody has to pay attention to you, and women really crave this shit, and when other people are getting attention, they do crazy shit to get more attention, so they don't really care about what's really going on in the world. The only people that really care, I mean, there are a few of them, of course, there are a few of them, but 90% of the people that comment on the alternate media are men. And it's the same thing as saying 90% of the people that are physicists are men. And people that are Nobel Prizes are men. It's not because women didn't have opportunities. The point is that this is things that men get involved with. So it's, God damn, I keep losing what I'm going to say. It's, again, when they do this stuff like that, it's considered okay. And the idea that the Congress, the legislative branch, can write a resolution, and again, they can do whatever they want to do, but don't put my name in there and say the people shouldn't be like this. Oh, this is not what the people are all about. you're not asking me what I'm all about. I think that there is a real question here that they have way too influence in this country. And when you put down an resolution by me saying that that's anti-Semitic, or you saying that I might question the fact that they have two citizenships, and they continually go to these lobbying places, and they say that everything about Israel, 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 and then eventually they'll say shit about here at home. They want to fund the wall there because apparently it's more important there. They want to make sure that Jewish is a 100% Jewish state. They don't want migrants to come in. But here, it's totally different. And you're wondering why that is. Why is that? Who's influencing them? And we have way too many people on the right that believe that because the book says that the end times is going to be in Jerusalem, and they want to make them like Ann Coulter talks about reform Jewish people to become Christians. And it's almost like we're looking at them as a affirmative action case that we have with black people. But they know they're as smart as we are, smarter than you, some of them. And they just use that for their own benefit. They claim victim status, even though they have all the power. They do most of the hoaxes. They are behind almost all the different terrorist activities around the world that, deal with, Russia or us. Not all Jewish people, of course. These are people that are the elite, and they just happen to be overwhelmingly Jewish people. And if I talk about this, then all of a sudden I'm a bad person. I'm a racist. I hate black, or I'm bigoted against them. I'm not. I'm concerned about a people that has never been very loyal for a long time in the host nation they've been in at. And then they've had to eventually be kicked out, again, the elite. And if the elite's doing something wrong, then of course it's going to trickle down to the normal people that has their own little businesses and something like that. You're going to be looked at a little bit differently. That could be just us being human. This is what happens. Any place you go to, any other place you go to, you look a little different than the people there. They're going to look at you a little differently. This is the human condition. And it pisses me off when the Republicans and the talking heads sit there and say, I can't believe that the Democrats didn't put her name down that, when the media has just shown her name everywhere. And whether you like her or not, I don't like her. I don't believe anything she talks about. But she's right when she talks about this. And this is something that's known. Everybody knows this. But they want us to stop from talking about it, because they know that the internet is the game changer, and they know that people are waking up, but they keep pushing it down, and they just say it's just her, and people like her that are really against Israel, and by effect are really against the United States. And we don't want to hear them. Well, we want them to deplatform her. These people that talk about free speech on the right, they're all fucking hypocrites. They're not. Would Tommy Laramie will allow somebody that talks about me or Nick Fuentes have a platform in CPAC or something like that, where she's at, or on her show, or if let's say Nick becomes a congressman some way, and he said something similar, would she say that that's anti-American for having those viewpoints? Anyway, it is what it is. So let me end, and we can talk about it in the comments. I tell you what, every day it gets a little bit more black-pilled, because there's so many people that they're so hoodwinked by this, when only 23 people out of the entire Congress voted against this. I'd have to look at who those 23 people are, and imagine they're taking a lot of shit today, because again, every fucking 5 minutes are we gonna have to just continually say that everybody else is a fucking victim, and the only people that aren't are white men? It gets to a point where you really get frustrated about it, and you almost want to do something about it. But all I'm going to do here is talk about it. So let me know down in the comments below, and you guys have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.